Well, she reportedly was dancing to the theme music we were playing a moment ago. Sarah Sanders joins us from the North Lawn of the White House, where she's still talking about her Kansas City Chiefs losing the big game this weekend.
Well, you asked her, Steve.
I did, and she was talking about it. Sorry, Sarah.
Yeah, I wouldn't have brought it back up, but good morning. Just to be clear, I have nothing on the kids that you guys showed dancing. I'm not doing it for entertainment, just to stay warm, because it's pretty cold out here. Nowhere near the skills those kids have, so I will not be entering any dance-off
They
contests,
were great.
just to be clear.
All right.
Well, a few hours ago, we did enter into day 33 of the partial government shutdown. Senate set to vote on these two bills tomorrow at 2:30. Do you think Republicans have enough votes for it to pass?
I certainly hope so. They certainly should. The plan that the president laid out, that has come from a number of meetings that the president's had with both Republicans and Democrats. The plan includes things that Democrats have specifically said they wanted to see, things we know that they want. It's outrageous that they wouldn't support a plan that does all of the things that they claim to want. They say that they want to reopen the government and help put the 800,000 furloughed workers back into their offices and getting their paychecks. They say they want to help stop human trafficking. They say they want to stop the humanitarian crisis, the opioid crisis, the drugs coming across our border. They say they want to stop crime coming across our border. The president's plan addresses everything Democrats claim to care about, everything Democrats say they want to see happen, yet we haven't seen them come on board and support it. And that's a question everybody in this country should be asking Democrat members of Congress is, why aren't you supporting this?
Well, here's what Senator Schumer said to that.
Because they don't want to help the president.
Here's what Senator Schumer said to that question.
That is not how negotiating works. That's not the art of the deal. What we have here is just another one-sided, partisan proposal from the president. And contrary to the president's claims, it hardly represents a softening of his position. The president's proposal is just wrapping paper on the same partisan package.
So he says it's just wrapping paper. And what they keep saying and what they're proposing, what they're going to vote on is, okay, open up the government, then we'll negotiate up until February 8th, I think. What would stop if the president got a word from Nancy Pelosi that the fence, the barrier was on the table? Would he be more amenable to accepting that offer?
Brian, the problem is she flat out told the president that wasn't the case. He asked her point blank, if I open the government, at that point they were talking about opening for a 30-day CR. He asked her, if I open the government in 30 days, will you give me funding for border security, including the wall? And she said no. It's that simple. The president has laid out a compromise bill that gives Democrats the act that Senator Schumer is saying that this doesn't address Democrat concerns and this isn't how negotiating works. The president has had a number of meetings with Democrat members of Congress and asked them directly what they want. And these are things that are included in this proposal, whether it's more technology at the border, whether it's funding for more Border Patrol agents, whether it is they've voted for Secure Fence Act in the past. These are all things Democrats have supported. The only difference is who's sitting in the Oval Office, and Democrats have got to stop playing politics. Nancy Pelosi has got to start putting the American people ahead of partisan politics, and hopefully we'll see that happen on Thursday. If not, it's a real shame to the 800,000 federal workers and a real shame to the angel moms and the rest of Americans who have been affected by human trafficking and drug overdoses in this country.
Nancy Pelosi certainly not playing politics when she essentially asked the president to postpone his appearance on Capitol Hill because, as we know, apparently the U.S. Capitol not secure. She was worried about that, although that's been disproven by everybody.
I think we're all glad to see Nancy finally care about the safety and security of someone, including the president. I wish she would take that same level of concern and apply it to the millions of Americans that live in this country that have been impacted by the fact that we have a completely open border and step up. She's got to come to the table and actually start doing her job.
There are stories out this morning, Sarah, that people working in the White House behind you are preparing two different versions of the State of the Union address. One, if the president actually goes to Capitol Hill and is in Congress, or a second, Plan B, if he's at a Plan B location like our southern border. I know you don't want to tip your hand because Nancy Pelosi hasn't officially uninvited the president, but how much of that story is true?
Look, we always like to have a plan B, but the president should be able to address the American people, whether he does that from the halls of Congress or whether he does that in another location. The president will talk to the American people on January 29th,
one way or
as
another.
he does nearly every single day. And we're going to continue moving forward with the State of the Union, and we'll see what happens.
Okay.
Sarah, White House Correspondents Association's upset because they're saying that the briefings in the room behind you, that you're not doing as many. The last one took place on December 18th, and the president tweeted yesterday saying the reason that you're not holding press briefings is because the press covers you rudely and inaccurately. This is a quote from the White House Correspondents Association president. He said, while other avenues exist to obtain information, the robust public back and forth we've come to expect in the James A. Brady briefing room helps highlight that no one in a healthy republic is above being questioned. What's your response?
Look, I take questions from reporters every single day. The idea that this White House isn't accessible to the press is absolutely laughable. I've done over 100 briefings, answered thousands of questions from members of the press. I stopped last night after I finished an interview where I took questions and took more questions from a gaggle of reporters standing right outside the building behind me. I'm sure I'll do that again here in a few minutes. The president takes questions nearly every single day from reporters, and we're on call almost 24 hours a day. I talked to multiple reporters on my way into work this morning. The idea that we're not answering questions is absolutely absurd.
But you're not doing the briefings anymore?
Look, we'll see what happens. As the president said yesterday, he doesn't like the decorum in the White House. Look, we're in the business of getting information to the American people, not making stars out of people that want to become contributors on CNN. And that's a lot of times what we see take place in the briefing room. We're more than happy to take questions, but we think that there should be a certain level of decorum and a certain level of honesty and responsibility that comes with that.
Exit question. We hear that the Covington Catholic High School students have been invited to the White House. They may appear after the partial government shutdown. It sounds like the president is horrified at the rush to judgment and how these young men and their families were smeared online.
The idea that anybody could take joy in the destruction of young kids is absolutely outrageous to me, and that's exactly what we saw members of the media and other leaders do. These are kids. Let's not forget, these are 15, 16-year-old kids that were put in a very tough position and actually handled it very well. The president has shown his support through tweets for these kids, and certainly would be open to having them here after the government reopens.
Thanks, Sarah.